Welcome back to the Commodities Dig. I'm Amy Hogan. My guest today is Erik Edwards, President and CEO of Lupaka Gold. I met up with Erik earlier this year in the winter to talk about a recent merger they completed with Andean American Gold. Basically a merger of equals, something we weren't seeing a lot of in the marketplace. Lupaka had a very strong project, but not a strong cash position. Andean American, they were kind of in the opposite situation. They had a lesser project, still a good project, but not as strong as Lupaka's project, but a great cash position. Bringing those two companies together allowed Lupaka to move forward with their vision. Here to pick up the story from where we left off in the winter is Erik. Erik, thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thanks for having me, Amy.
So how has the deal gone? Are your shareholders happy with everything that's happened over the past year?
Our shareholders are struggling with the same commodities market that everyone else, and all the juniors especially. So while it's difficult to say what things might have been, I think our shareholders are generally happy. The transaction has gone very smoothly. The consolidation of the two companies has gone very well.
Right.
We've been able to bring in some new people, expand our operations. We have a new professional team in Peru. Certainly the cash was helpful, and the Invicta project is contributing to our presence in Peru, and we're actively looking now for joint venture partners to help us advance that, the Invicta project, while we concentrate on Crucero. So the transaction has gone very well.
Okay, so you're looking for a joint venture arrangement on that specific project. Would you look to Asian markets for that joint venture, or are you just looking for more of a North American play on that?
We're looking for someone that has a strong presence in Peru, has a technical capability and a financial capability. Whether those are Asian markets or South American markets or European markets, we're primarily interested in making sure that the relationships that we're developing long-term are solid, that we can grow with.
Are you getting a lot of interest right now?
Interest, yes.
Okay.
A number of people have showed interest.
Little nibbles, but not big bites yet.
That's right. That's how I would categorize it.
Yeah.
I think it's just a difficult market. Gold price continues to languish.
Like 6-week lows right now, I think we're at today.
So it's difficult to get some people interested in new property acquisitions, especially development projects. Now, the other point, though, is those companies that have a cash position, have sufficient backers, now is the time to be buying. And we've said that over and over again. Yeah. So there are a couple of people that we are in discussions with who are ready to be bold and move ahead. Right. And those are exactly the kinds of partners that we want. So a lot of interest, but only a few that in this market are willing to take the bold steps. But that's okay. Now is the time to be bold.
Let's go back to financing. What kind of financing options are you looking at right now? You mentioned the joint venture. Are you looking at anything else like streaming? You have copper as a byproduct.
Yes and yes.
Yes
and yes. I think that in this market, and this was a key point, I remember that we talked about, you have to consider all alternatives. We've had a significant push into Europe, and what we're finding in Europe is that they have considerable wealth, and they haven't suffered the same kinds of setbacks that we have in North America. They seem to have pulled their money out early in the game, focused on other areas of investments. Now they're looking at gold, they're looking at commodities, and wondering when to move back in. There's considerable wealth in Europe that's staged, ready to move back in.
Interesting.
They're waiting to see kind of a bottom or a floor develop, and then they're interested in being highly selective about vehicles that they support to take advantage of this next quantum growth in gold. So Europe is very prime as well.
Are they looking at exploration projects, or are they looking at projects that are in development and production ready to go?
That's a really great question. The Europeans, I don't want to
generalize too much, but the ones you've been in contact with.
But can relate more to advanced projects that have a production view or a plan within the next 3 to 5 years, which is why Invicta for Lupaka is getting traction in Europe. So we have a combination of a steep discovery curve project with Crucero, an advanced development project with Invicta that appeals quite well to the European market. So it's a diversification of projects focused on gold, different life cycle stages, different geographical stages, but yet still in Peru. So it's an interesting consideration for them.
A lot of moving pieces, but basically keep your options open. You don't know where the opportunities are going to come from these days.
The market also, and this affects Lupaka Gold.
Okay.
At some point, the seniors need to move back into the junior space and begin to acquire the junior explorers, and that hasn't begun to happen on a material level yet. And
a bit of a shift in the ecosystem that we're used to.
Yes, a shift back that's been missing for the last 3 or 4 years.
Right.
That may be a bit of the discussion.
Do you think that's going to happen over the next year, or do you think that's going to take a couple years before the seniors are ready to start looking down to the juniors again for those exploration opportunities?
I think it's going to be a couple of years. I do. I think that the juniors have to prepare their business to be successful and operate in this current environment. If it happens sooner, that's wonderful for all of us.
And that's definitely what you're doing with your company right now.
That's the way we're structuring our business.
Adjusting to the current market.
How can we add value? How can we be cost effective, conserve our cash, but continue to add value, continue to grow our resources, add new projects, build sustaining positive relationships with good developers in this marketplace, so we position ourselves to be there and ready for the next growth phase.
Okay. Well, Erik, thank you so much for joining me. Before I let you go, I want to know where you think the price of gold is heading in the next year.
The next year is probably the most difficult to predict. If you were to ask me where's it going in the next 5 years, I feel very confident it's going to be considerably higher.
Considerably higher. What does that mean? Put a number to it.
Put a number to it? Oh, I think that it's going to be $2,500 in 5 years. I think that it's clearly all the indicators lead you to believe that. Now, in the short term, we're dealing, gold is an emotional metal. It's a psychology more than an economy. It could be stagnant for a while. I'm not sure that it has much room to move down. Could be stagnant for a year. But when it starts to move, I think it's going to attract some attention and move quickly. So 3 to 5 years, it's going to be strongly up. The next year, I think, I wouldn't be surprised to see it flat.
Okay, flat.
But it could move next month.
Well, I like the optimism that we're going to see it go up in the next couple of years.
Absolutely.
Erik, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you again for joining me on the Commodities Dig. I'm Amy Hogan. Until next time.